So welcome to another update. The last one was done quite some time ago, pre-Christmas I believe, and since then there's been quite a few changes on this tank. I seem to have totally dealt with the white, not algae, I believe it was more of a bacteria bloom. Fingers crossed that I've dealt with that, but it does seem to have cleared up nicely. I seem to have moved into a slightly different phase where I'm now dealing with diatoms on the glass, not so much on the glass but definitely on the sand. And there could be any number of reasons for that. I've actually adjusted my light settings recently. At the moment it's on quite white, just so I'm hoping you can see the tank more, because otherwise I know it's really blurred. But you know, I do run the A and B setting, and I do have it on for quite long, so I've actually just knocked a few hours back off of that. I'm hoping that may help it. Phosphates are normally about 0.04, quite high, but they've always been that. In every tank that I've had so far, they've always been that, and I've always shown up as having zero nitrates. Quick look at the cow and the cats, but I'm sure they're not zero. But you know, it's just the way it shows up. But yeah, so I'm sure that's not the case. But my tanks always seem to operate roughly the same. Changes. I've had issues with my dosing. I had all sorts of things happening, dosing pump being clogged, etc. But I've changed my method, and the method is Triton. Now this isn't a full Triton. This is the other methods, and I've also changed my salt to Tropic Marine. They do kind of say use Tropic Marine or Red Sea, the normal salt, but I do like synthetic salt, so I've gone with the Tropic Marine. So what's the main differences between the normal Core 7 and the other methods? The main thing is for the algae bed, or should I say the lack of. So I have no algae bed in my tank. I haven't got no space for it really, to be fair. I could probably do a reactor, but that's another story entirely. But so this is for people like myself that are interested in using Triton products, so that's what I think anyway, but who use phosphate removers. So whatever it might be, a Seachem product, Phosguard, I don't know, you know, whatever you're using. And so it's the same product, I believe, but with certain elements missing, and the elements that are missing are for algae growth. So I believe it's the same product, just with the algae growth elements taken away or reduced. And where it differs to your normal, if you know, I was baling light before. I think it was Fauna Marine or Tropic Marine. I think actually it was Fauna Marine I was using, which, you know, very good product. The only difference with this is you don't have to mix it yourself. Also, it's highly concentrate. So I think it's 7 times more concentrated than the old product. You can dilute it if you want. So you just have to do some quick math to make sure you're doing the obviously the right dosing. Where it does differ from baling and baling light, or 2-part even to be fair, is that everything goes in at the same quantity. So normally you would do tests, you would see how much calcium you're using, see how much alkalinity, see how much magnesium, and then dose accordingly. With this method, with a Triton, and I think it's for both the other methods and the standard Triton, you dose equally. Now that is quite strange, and I mean, I've been running this for about 3 weeks now, and I'm still sort of bedding it in. My alkalinity is just under 8, and it does recommend around 8. But my calcium moves around. They say, I think it's 430 they want it at, but mine's kind of like at 450. And my magnesium's over 1,350, no, 1,500, sorry. It's over 1,500. It's Darcy the cat. Which isn't a disaster, but it's like you want it. You kind of, I suppose, want it, what, 1,350, there or thereabouts. So, again, not an issue, but with normal baling methods, you would just dial down the magnesium. Don't use any mag, or adjust the calcium. But with this, it does suggest you basically run it all the same. Apparently, if you use one more than the other, you know, you will cause some issues. I don't know what they are. I'm not going to try it. I've had enough issues with this tank. Was a painful birth, as I've said before, for whatever reason. So you know, it's okay. The tank is okay at the minute, not brilliant, okay. And so I don't really want to muck around with it too much. When I first started running this, it is a concentrate. It's really thick. The My doser did get plugged up a bit, so I had to sort that out and solve that. So it might be worth you guys diluting it if you do use it. As I've said before, I'm using a K-More doser, very good doser. It's actually, you know what, when I move over to this method, I did check the doser, and the doser is actually off. So all three dose 25% less than they're supposed to. And the reason why they do that is because I've never readjusted it since I bought it. So I set it up, made sure it was dosing properly, and I've never looked at it. And that's a common thing with me. So if there's one thing to learn, if anything, from any video I ever do, is test your tank, because I never test enough. And also, do your maintenance. I mean, I'm good with maintenance, but not when it comes with things like this. So, you know, every, I suppose, 6 months maybe, test your doser, make sure it is pumping exactly what it's supposed to, or dosing what it's supposed to. But luckily, it's 25% off on all three. It's a simple calculation. I'm not bothered, and me being me, guess what? I didn't adjust it, I just left it. Crazy, but there you go. The salt, Tropic Marine. It's a man-made salt, synthetic, and if I'm going to be brutally honest with you, I don't like it. I don't know if it's because it's a big bucket size. When you get these big buckets, guys, you know, you really got to stir them up, because I've done, say, 6 water changes with 5, give or take, and the alkalinity is all over the place. Each time I've got another alkalinity reading, and again, in previous salts I never used to really measure what was going, you know, my water change, but you should every now and then, definitely, because you're not sure what you're putting in. For the best will in the world, it doesn't matter how much you roll that bucket around, it's got salt in it. There's nothing you're going to do. It is going to be separated. So unless you're willing to, I don't know, have a container 3 times the size of that, so you can really stir it up, you're going to have issues. I normally buy smaller tubs, and I think I'll go back to it. They're just easier to mix up. I don't know if there's anything particularly wrong with the salt. I've just not enjoyed it. I found it to take the longest to mix out of all my salts. I used Aquarium for ages, and I had no issues with that. I used Fritz for a while. It's really difficult to get in the UK. I think only one store sells it, Charthouse Aquatics, I believe. And it's quite expensive. I quite liked it. I would have stuck to it. But because when I went on to Triton Method, I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. So, really early doors with this product. I'm still slightly dialing it in. I will do another update, I dare say, at some stage, just to let you guys know I'm getting on with it. But it's kind of like, I'm going to stick with this. I'm chopping and changing too much, so I'm going to stick with this. It's not good to keep changing your tank, or what you use on it, should I say. Nothing's changing here. The skimmer's not really doing much because I've just cleaned it all out. No problems with that skimmer, I like it. Obviously UV. That's my media reactive phosphate remover and carbon. You've seen all this anyway if you've seen any of my videos. Tank's doing quite well. Strange things going on. So we had a yellow tang in there that completely went missing. Did it jump? I don't know. I don't have a lid. It definitely went in the tank, and the cats would have had it straight up. If it was on the floor, they definitely would have had it. I bought a couple of wrasses. I believe one should be still swimming around if we can capture it, which was a Melanaris wrasse. There you go. I also had a flasher wrasse. I think it was a flasher. Really nice. 3 weeks later, just started swimming erratically. I think it was a swim bladder issue, and that didn't last the night. So it's been a bit strange, up and down with fish, to be fair. Flame Angel isn't bullying the tank so much, the coal eye tank. In fact, yep, there you go. If that was on my last update, the Flame Angel would have been absolutely ruining it. Corals, SPS, LPS, doing quite well, except for those guys on the top there, white as anything. And again, that was a massive colony I had on my old Red Sea Reefer 170, and it's been chopped and changed, and I just need to get rid of it. It's just hanging on for dear life, to be fair. Let's get a bit closer. So yeah, I'm running white, so hopefully you can see the tank a bit better. I know normally when I do these videos you don't get to see much. Again, that was a massive colony that got broke up to get it out of the Red Sea Reef. It was stuck to the glass and all sorts. They're just feeling sorry for themselves up there. Got some torches, and then there's like a soft coral garden. at the end there. Angels, strange angels, always hosting power pumps, no matter what tank they're in, and then at the minute they're sort of separated. It's like a divorce. And that's my gold hammer there. But yeah, I'm quite happy with it at the minute. I think I will be getting some more fish. I will definitely be getting a lid. I've kind of semi-ordered one. It's a polycarbonate bespoke lid from a company, a guy called Reef Tops. And we're just waiting for that to get sorted. They're really, really, really good. You check the polycarbonate lids. They're quite expensive, but they are on a different level. But yeah, as you can see, I'm quite happy with the way this tank's going at the minute. I'm going to just try and dial things in now. I'm not going to chop and change too much. I know I've got issues with diatoms on the sand. As I said, you can't really see them because I have moved the sand quite a lot. I didn't get no algae on the glass for ages, but now I am starting to get it, so I don't know if that's a good or a bad sign. But when I get the new lid, I'll do an update, and hopefully that'll be in a few weeks' time, and we'll be able to talk a bit more about this Triton product and see how we're getting on with the way we dose it. So until then, cheers.